Was that you?
No. I also played a bunch of Bloodborne with the missus, who has been continuing to crush it. She beat the party cave in one shot and was like, oh, was that hard? And I feel like a tiny shit man. Horrible. But more interesting than either of those is that I kind of fell down into the Drakengard hole because of Nier Automata.
So how are those audio dramas?
So... all right, let's back up.
You filling out
all right.
that timeline there? You're enjoying yourself? Getting your jollies?
So, it's not that much of a spoiler to...
hold on.
What?
George, have you seen Nier Automata at all?
I played through the demo. I had no idea what was going on. So
have you played
really
Nier?
I want to check it out. I came so close one time to buying it from a store, but didn't. And now my Xbox 360 got thrown in the trash. I don't have a last-gen console
actually,
to play it on.
George, it's funny that you mentioned that because we have a Nier LP up on our channel that you could go and watch.
Or you could
but
just
I'd
play
rather
the game.
play the game.
Yeah.
What?
But you also have to play Drakengard, ending E.
Okay, so let's back up. Let's back up.
Play the game.
Let's back up. So I had known for some time that Drakengard, Drakengard 2, Drakengard 3, and Nier are all in the same series. It's kind of a secret connection, somewhat, but they one of the endings of Drakengard leads to Nier,
which is super cool. That
I've been told that you're okay to just watch Drakengard 1, but you should play Nier.
I hear Drakengard 1 is a really rough game.
Drakengard 1 is a bad game. Drakengard 2 is a bad game. Drakengard 3 is a mediocre to bad game. Nier's a good game. That's basically how it goes. But it sucks because the one good thing about Drakengard is the story. It's really, really crazy. It's Berserk-esque. Like, there's a character on your team that eats children.
Yum.
Yeah.
My favorite.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. I'm going to go to... So on the Nier2.com... It's called Nier2.com or whatever. It's the fucking official Japanese site for Nier Automata. And there is a supplemental materials page.
Okay.
And the supplemental materials page is the developer going, I know that we may have spread the story around a little bit. Here is the names and in many cases PDFs or fan translations of everything that we've got, including a scene-by-scene translation of the Yorha Android stage play.
So that's the point that I saw, and I backed off immediately because it was like, what is Yorha? For the Glory of Mankind. That was a stage play written by Yoko Taro that came out in Japan.
About androids.
There's zero chance you would ever have seen this sitting here.
Zero.
And like the picture is of these characters with blindfolds on, and it's like warning Nier Automata spoilers below. And I'm like, all right, good enough for me. Close.
So, but I didn't know Drakengard 1 or 2 other than the ending either. And I went to the fucking wiki and looked at the timeline. Man, you thought that the fucking SMT or goddamn Kingdom Hearts or fucking what's the other one I'm thinking of that's quite bad? Zelda timelines are awful. This one has a denotation at the bottom. Blue means game. Green means comic. Red means novel. Orange means play. And it's like...
Okay, so Yoko Taro is a multimedia cross experience.
And it's like, and I'm like, I don't even know all the games. So luckily, and I'd like to plug his channel because I think he did amazing work. There is a guy on YouTube called Mr. Klemps. You can follow him on Twitter at Mr. Klemps. His YouTube channel has a incredibly small amount of views for the good work that he did. This guy does about a 45-minute breakdown in 2 parts of Drakengard 1, 2, and 3, and he's starting one of Nier right now. That's like, okay, this is what happens. These are the characters. This is the total overview of the plot and its themes. This is what all of the endings are and what the sequences are. You get to get them. Here's what this is about. Here's what this is about. Here's how this ties in. And he did 1, 2, and 3, and he's halfway through Nier. And I feel caught up just from blowing 3 hours watching these videos. If to anyone who doesn't have, like, I would say the Drakengard 1, 2, and 3 are not worth playing. I think those are terrible games, but their stories are amazing. I think Nier is worth playing, but maybe not at this point because it's so ancient and the gameplay's not that great. And we have this wonderful LP you can watch.
I wonder if that's the guy that did it for Danganronpa as well.
I don't think it is. He has I think like a total of like 16 videos or something. Like
okay, then never mind. Because there's someone that did a great one that we linked to.
But yeah, that's Mr. Klemps. He does good work, and I'm glad to rep him here. But Automata, okay, Automata, like after
Drakengard 1 and 2, you're saying pass over, but 3, like
3's terrible. 3's worse than the other. Yeah, did you ever play it?
No, I watched.
You want to go watch our video where the frame rate drops to single digits?
I watched when that came out, and I saw like a bit of it, and I mean, I didn't because it looks like one of the newer games where they would have like I guess fixed things.
3's terrible, and all the best parts of its story are in like expensive DLC.
Jeez. Okay. Ooh, huh.
But it's important, right? But after going through all of these things,
I'm going to take this as Pat word for it, as opposed to like.
What do you mean exactly?
Like I'm gonna assume that it's like everything is less than what you're saying, and that like I can from what one looks like a rough time. 3 didn't look so bad.
That's why I called it mediocre to bad.
Yeah, but that's why I'm saying, and now you're doubling down as you go further into the conversation.
You're right.
You started out saying that it was all right, and now you're saying it's terrible.
My experience, trying to stay positive during that look that was miserable.
3 did not seem terrible.
But where was I going with this? So there is a bunch of shit. You remember that trailer we watched, Wooly, of the characters in Nier Automata? That was just just shots of characters and then their names, and some of them were spoiler.
Just blurry,
yeah. Do you remember the guy with the crazy tattoos going over his chest?
Not really.
It was a cool-looking guy with black...
I purposely tried to not internalize that too much because I want to learn it.
So the thing is, one of his tattoos is the tattoo of the cult of the Drakengard cult in 1.
Cool.
So... everything that they've said, like, oh yeah, you won't have to play the old ones to whatever. I'm sure that's accurate, but to like really like get it, I have a strong feeling you're actually going to need to at least know what happened in those, even on a general purpose. So I would highly recommend, if you don't have the time or patience to go play through these games, to get up to date with Mr. Klemps' videos.
How many of the 10 novellas do you have to read?
Probably 0. I have the way they've talked about it and the way they put like the fucking thing up where it's like we're aware that we may have spread the story all over the place makes me feel. And they've also said that the story will be like understandable even without any prior knowledge. I have a strong feeling that there will be callbacks to things from prior games. There'll be themes and stuff like that.
You're going to have to sit and watch a stage play.
But I seriously doubt that they are going to heavily incorporate elements of the novellas or whatever. The only one that's absolutely 100% necessary, they have completely in English translated on that website for people, and it's called The Space Wars.
Nice.
And it happens after the end of Nier, where there's a fight with the aliens.
So it's funny because when I look at Nier Automata as a like now mainstream thing that's like getting pushed,
it's doing
his biggest
apparently
game.
Quite well on Amazon's charts.
It's his biggest game that he's ever worked on, and it's clearly with the production level and the platinum getting involved and such. Now, and this is, of course, more eyeballs on the Drakengard franchise and now the Nier franchise.
Which are the same, but aren't the same.
But, like, whatever.
You can tell who's a real fan by who abbreviates to DOD for Dragon Dragoon.
Okay.
It's one of those fan bases.
Dark Forces, Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy,
I tried to paste a link to the Yorha stage play in the Twitch chat and got told no. But this is the stupidest thing I've seen in my life.
Well, just to tell people who are listening to the podcast, much like in audio format, where they can get it, it's Nier 2 is the website that links to all this stuff, and there was an English translation of that page that I saw. So.
Yeah. Of the whole fucking thing.
Yes, if you're interested, that's where you can go. And in fact, I can throw the link in the.
Did you see that?
Slapping their face.
Did you see the amazing quote floating around from Yoko Taro about working on Nier Automata?
Yeah.
I would like to read that quote.
There's that, and there's the great thing about. Well, go on with that first.
Because it's famously known that he was like an asshole on Drakengard 1 and was yelling at the team all the time because they pissed him off because they would never do anything that he wanted to do.
Right.
And he had to fight with Square a lot to keep the really dark tones in the game. And working with Platinum, he had this to say. All the time I spent on the original getting angry at the development team, obviously Platinum's removed that by working so well, so I spend that time drinking. In the end, it hasn't really changed how much work I do, but when I drink, I make better games, so that's okay.
It's great. It's great.
It's a great fucking quote. Oh, man.
Strong. Yeah, and then there's him talking about how there's an announced Atlas RPG that's going to be a fantasy RPG, and basically it's a breakdown, but the summary of it really is that like, as far as Japanese games go, there's a chart where you can look at where there's like fantasy, realism, and then there's like fantasy setting, realistic setting, and then like anime style and realistic art style, you know. And he pretty much like places like large chunks of that. Like one big side of that is Persona, covers the modern day anime art style, you know. And then there's like Square stuff that covers the fantasy, not anime art style, more realistic looking things and whatnot. And he pretty much puts Nier right in the dead center of all of that. And he's like, we exist in a small space, and
it's a weird space.
That's what, and this is where we're comfortable right now with Nier. And the fantasy RPG that Atlas just announced is going to overlap that space, in addition to them having the Persona space. So I'm asking the fans to please reconsider buying their game to support Nier Automata instead. I think it's very brave of them to start working on this project, and I think that's very
great.
cool. But please, for Nier's sake,
that's really good. That's
reconsider
really good.
this project, you know? Like, he's a funny guy. He's a funny guy. Yeah, that's a fun, like, but where I was going with it is that, like, this is the most popular franchise has ever been. It's very possible that, like, this is being treated almost like a Guns of the Patriots thing where, you know, if they wanted to wrap up the whole storyline, this would be a right place to do it. But this is likely going to be the jumping off point, if anything, that puts it on the map. And then creates a whole line of Nier things where, like, the backstory.
Let me tell you something.
Gets even more convoluted.
Let me tell you something about Drakengard 3, Wooly. There's a character in that game called Accord, and she appears in some of the endings to catalog the finality of those timelines.
Oh, wow.
That character is an android.
A straight-up god in the machine.
That character is an android, and that character is going to be Nier Automata.
Okay.
Huh.
And she time-traveled to Drakengard 3.
What?
We're like thousands of years in the future. So
yeah,
Guns of the Patriots took place like 10 years in the future. And characters from the rest of the franchise could show up and have their arcs wrapped. Whereas it just seems like Nier Automata is almost like spin-off.
Well, I just meant in terms of like the big expensive finale to a large convoluted timeline.
I feel like there is little to no chance of that.
Yeah,
I have a feeling.
No,
in fact, the opposite will happen.
It's now becoming a main thing that like everyone else is getting.
One of the endings, you will travel back in time and accidentally, oopsie, cause the Drakengard to happen or some shit.
Yeah, that's really cool and interesting, and like. You know, it's getting Metal Gear with it, where like, yeah, if you were on board from day one, like you're fucking shitting your pants in excitement.
Yeah.
And if you're getting on board now, you're just like wrapping your head, going, "What the fuck?"
Okay,
is
what
happening?
I miss? Oh shit!
Metal Gear didn't have 10 novellas. I feel like at some point incorporating novellas into your franchise timeline is not a good idea. Have you guys played the new Deus Ex?
Japan constantly does this. It's infuriating.
Because audio's dramas are like a legitimate form of storytelling.
No, they're not.
In Japan,
no, they're not.
And so
they're wrong.
But they're not because the guy who makes the thing says, "I want it to count, so it counts." Too bad.
Fucking wrong.
Too bad.
Is it to be a fan of things these days, where there's like so much hard work you got to do in the fields. to know what's happening in the next sequel.
George, I went and bought the Trigun first and second Donut CDs so I could listen to the audio skits to hear about the continued adventures of Vash the Stampede and his friends to know what was happening in Trigun. Okay. Like, there's Street Fighter 2 Mad Revenger.
This is
that
always
you can go
been the
listen
worst.
to for extra source material on what's going on in that plot.
At some point, it just becomes work to
Thatcher.
fully invest yourself into a thing.
See,
like.
okay, this is the okay. You remember I talked about the Final Fantasy XIV lore book last week and how it really fleshed out a lot of the details.
Yeah,
that was really appreciated and really nice, and that's a good way to do it because it added detail and context to things that were already there. When we're talking about Kingdom Hearts or Nier, we're not talking about that. What we're talking about is the most important thing to ever happen to the character you play as happened in a Japanese-only fucking comic panel in the Sunday morning of the Tokyo Gazette that one morning.
Tidus's head blew up.
Dude! God, Blitzball!
Yeah, man.
Did Tidus's head really blow up? I mean, I can't tell.
Oh, he doesn't know. He doesn't know about FF10-3, the drama.
The canon ending to FF10.
Where Tidus accidentally kicks a mine and blows up.
This stuff is happening to Deus Ex, and it makes me so sad.
I totally agree with you.
What
sucks?
What's happening to Deus Ex?
The new game that they put out this year starts kind of in media res after a combination of events from the novels in between the last game and the current one, and the shitty cell phone game that no one liked. And
the launch of Deus Ex Universe was like to sort of like continue that.
And the Deus Ex cinematic universe that drives the series now is in a place and using a visual style that has like nothing to do with the original game. The original game is this like very square, blue, blocky, late 90s Matrix ripoff. And the new one is like all full of golden triangles with puffy pirate shirts. It doesn't look like Deus Ex, and it takes place before the events of the first game.
Well, it's
the Human Revolution universe because that was the commercial success.
Everyone's going to agree that eventually that squares are cooler than triangles and blue is better than gold, and it's just going to start
the circle all over again.
It's just going to start to move over.
Trench coats are cooler than puffy pirate shirts.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I heard that there's already tie-ins though to characters from the original game and like people that exist in the world of Human Revolution.
And it's such a like easy cop-out way of doing it. The way it works is you see like the bottom of one character's chin,
right,
and you hear his voice, and then it hints at the menu music of the first game, and then the credits roll.
That Bob Page, I'm going to get him. No, you're not, Jensen.
No, you're not.
You're not.
It's like the opposite of dramatic irony. You already know what's going to happen as a viewer, and it's not interesting.
He's going to turn into some weird machine god, and you're going to shoot him a bunch of times in a pit.
To hijack the ambrosia vaccine for the mythical city on the hill.
I forgot that part.
So old men can...
Deus Ex 1 is really long, and there's a lot you can forget.
It's also hilarious nowadays. The voice acting in that game is like, Mamma Mia.
What a shame. That's still my favorite. You ever seen that clip, Wooly?
Are these all spoilers?
No.
Okay.
Well, yes, but no. You ever seen the What a Shame clip?
No.
There's a fucking side quest in that game in which you talk to a woman and you're like, oh, I'm going to go save your dad, right? Or I'm going to go help your dad out, right? Mm-hmm. And under certain conditions, I think it's if you finish most of the quest but you haven't turned it in yet, her dad can be standing right next to her, right? So what you do is you fucking... one of the fail conditions is the dad dies, right?
Okay.
So you take your gun out and you just fucking blow him away.
Because it's a video game and you can.
And what happens is the quest instantly goes into you fucked up and didn't save him state.
Yeah.
She goes, oh my God, Dad! And JC Denton just goes, what a shame.
And he's looking at her with this like blank expression behind sunglasses.
He was such a good man.
Flatly declares it.
Oh, it's fucking
like,
hilarious.
The voice acting for all the important lines in that game are delivered so monotone that they come off as like unintentional sarcasm.
Oh,
it's the most
good.
unintentionally funny game.
JC Denton has negative affect because he's a thing.
Okay. Well,
That's my week, man.
sure.
Go check out Mr. Klemps. He does good work.
I'll pretty much say that I didn't have much of a week. I've been pretty busy.
Oh, man.
All I really did was I watched